All right. Let me just wait for scoring here. Take a gander, take a quick looky-loo to see if everything's going to run and work and everything. But I do believe we are here. Hello, Kyle. Thank you, everybody who's here. I apologize. I'm going head-to-head against Run Pure. I try not to do that. Like dividing viewers like that. But I appreciate you being here. As we look at the 500, which is 3.5 hours away at the moment of recording this, really the only contests that are still available to join are the 25, the 3, the 1, and I do believe small $2 contests. But for the majority of the big contests on DraftKings, they have filled. The majority of contests on FanDuel have filled. So if you didn't get in earlier, I apologize. But you're probably not going to find a decent contest at a price point that you enjoy. Okay, I'm going to do my best to not cough here. I have quite a lot to go over. I understand there are a lot of new viewers and people who might not understand everything. Now, I do have a playlist that I've talked about ad nauseum, but at this point, we're 3 hours away from the 500. I doubt you're going to watch that stuff. So let's run through everything. First off, house cleaning wise, I will be at Atlanta next week. Of course, I'll make a preview video. I'm going to try and do live shows or join Sheets when he does his. But at the moment, that's up in the air. I think I should be able to, but I'm not entirely sure. If you see me, just look for the idiot in the Kiss jacket and come say hello. But I will be at Atlanta for the 4th time in a row because that's the best track on the circuit. Secondly, we're partnering with SaberSim. This is our prices for our monthly package. Now, yet again, SaberSim increased their price, but you also get SaberSim with our stuff included, which is just our core stuff included with the SaberSim Ultimate package. I also have or at least my NASCAR stuff with sheets of projections and everything. But if you want my projections and through the NASCAR package, they're $30. If you want to save money on an annual package, these are our prices. If you're interested in SaberSim and you haven't already used it, and you can go ahead and get a 3-day trial from us for $10.99. I think it's worth it for a majority of the sports. I've been very vocal about how I'm not entirely a fan of their Sims product for NASCAR, but I personally use SaberSim for every other sport out there. So if you are considering using SaberSim, you can get it through us. Secondly, or I guess thirdly on the list, we do have a Stukas on the team now. Now, yet again, he's going to be putting together not really, I guess, articles, but statistical previews for each of these races here. He posted the link in the description. I'm going to show it here just because some of you guys might not know who he is. Username is Clive Bixby on DK. You're going to see him. I mean, you've seen him already win quite a lot of GPPs over the course of his DFS career. He's been very secretive about what he does or how he plays stuff. Now he's a part of our team. He's going to be adding tools to our website, which I'm not going to leak what they are, but quite a lot of tools that are going to be integrated to the TrueDFS website now that he's a part of the team. But going over the statistical preview, I'm going over this as if nobody knows anything, so I don't get any dumb questions because there's nothing I hate more than stupid questions. So we are approaching this from basic beginning at the bottom of Stupid River, and we're going to ride it all the way to the dam. So when we're looking at the Daytona 500, and we're looking at the races at Daytona specifically, okay? Yet again, we'll talk about players, we'll talk about things and how I'm going to personally approach this because that's what I do. I'm very transparent. Hey, TrueDFS, transparent DFS. I talk about what I personally do in my live streams, whether it's for NBA, NFL, NASCAR. I'm telling you what I'm doing. But yet again, starting from the ground up, let's go ahead and go through. When we look at these races, now yet again, I personally do not include Atlanta in the plate race category. I think it's its own beast. Yes, the approach is very similar, and if we were at Atlanta this weekend, we would be playing, or I would suggest we play, the good drivers and good teams, which we'll talk about in a second. But I do not include Atlanta in my data set. I believe it's its own animal. When we look at Daytona and Talladega, the two biggest racetracks with how they race, et cetera, these are the beginning of the individual race details that we see. at these races, the one thing I want you to focus on is the lead lap finishers and running at the end of the race, okay? Specifically, we want to look at Daytona, but this is Daytona and Talladega. We look at Daytona last year. The 2 races last year started 40 cars. Running at the end in the fall race, the race that I lost 100K in on the second overtime restart, had 25 drivers running at the end of the race. The Daytona 500 last year had 30 drivers running at the end of the race. Okay. Lead lap finishers. We only had 20 in both of these races. Okay. With 7 and 5 cautions respectively. Okay. As we continue to go through and you look through of the amount of people who start this race and the amount of people who finish on the lead lap and the amount of people finishing these races, you're going to start seeing, and this is not including those involved in yellows or crashes. Okay. Drivers involved in incidents on track, involved in cautions, whatever the case may be, starts to push 60, 70, 75% of all the cars in the field. So if we're talking about a 41 car race today, okay, with the percentage of cars caught up in some form of accident, whether that is taking them out of the race or just a tire donut on the side of their vehicle, we're looking at nearly anywhere from 28 to like 34 cars being involved in some type of on-track activity today in reference to a yellow, okay? Now, as we keep going through, you're going to see, hey, man, Daytona sometimes starts getting wild, okay? Yet again, and if you notice, the way that what I build for is low lead lap finishers, okay? So this race had 17 at Daytona in 2023, the Daytona 500 last year. Not yet last year, the 2023. In the fall of 2023, we had 25 drivers on lead lap. We had 10 and 15 in 2022, okay? So Daytona is statistically more chaotic and more destructive than its sister track Atlanta, okay? So as we continue to go through and look at how people are finishing these races, you are encouraged to play people who are starting in the back of the field who can gain place differential points, because if you start in the back of the field and finish, let's say arbitrarily you start 28th and you finish 17th, you're going to be scoring way better than some goober who starts third and wrecks out and finishes 30th. Now, of course, that is, simple, easy math, but that's why we are not targeting people starting up front in the race, because the likelihood that any individual driver is involved in a crash, it's like 65 to 75%. So on that same avenue, why would you play higher owned guys if their DNF rate is realistically the exact same as somebody who is starting in the back who isn't highly as owned? And why would you also play somebody starting in the top 10, in the top 12, if they have the same DFS or DNF rate as somebody in the back of the field? As we go through and look at these races, okay, now yet again, we're going backwards here. So this is most recent to all this. Yet again, thank you, Andrew, for putting this together for me and the people for us to go over. We look back at these races here, and this is going back the last 2 Talladega races, and then Daytona, Talladega, Daytona. So when we're looking at Daytona specifically, and yet again, Talladega's in here, but when we're like drilling in, when we're microscope or analyzing Daytona, we see the amount of cars being involved in crashes, okay? And we see a pretty good portion of the field is going to be removed due to yellows at Daytona, okay? That's just how it is, okay? So if we're realistically looking, and this is not even talking about the drivers yet, this isn't talking about what can happen, this is not even talking about the rain that'll be in the area over today and possibly tomorrow. A lot more variables in there can possibly lead to an uptick in yellows. Okay, but we look at where we're at in terms of yellows per race, and we're seeing that we have a pretty high substantial of yellows. Now, granted, we have 2 guaranteed with the stages, but we got a real chance of, messing stuff up, right? Okay, and as we go through and just look at different data showing your screen, you look at where we're looking at the distribution of place differential and stuff, and we're typically seeing that we're leaning more towards, obviously, positions gained in these races, primarily because there's so many people DNFing, okay? Your main goal is to just not have the idiot who finishes last today or the bottom 4 or whatever, right? That's pretty much what we're trying to do. We see on average that if you're starting in the 30s, okay, the guy who starts 40th today, which, hey, we have 41 cars, okay, so sorry that that's not on the screen, but the guy who starts 40th today, mean place differential for that position is 13. Okay. Meanwhile, if you start 4th, okay, you're looking to probably lose 11 positions. Okay. We look at somebody who starts 10th, probably going to lose 8 positions just on average, or that's what your median is, right? Okay. So as we look at the back of the field, you are drastically much more likely to gain positions if you start in the back of the field. Okay. Yet again, that's why we have ownership going to the back of the field. And then we have ownership not only going to the back of the field, but on certain drivers. Okay. As we continue, we see dominator points, laps led, fast laps, stuff like that. Really doesn't matter. Okay. It's going to be random. It's going to be distributed throughout the field, especially fast laps. Okay. If anything, you're probably going to get more if you're a good car in the back of the field, but we can talk about who those good cars are or whatever. Yeah, like I said, I'm going over this from the ground up, you know? Lemon Halls, dude. Evan, man, bro, I'm trying not to cough here, man. Laps led by finishing position, yeah, sure. Of course, the leader is expected to probably end up with the most amount of laps led, but even still, we're looking at a very low type of number here. Yet again, if you want to go over this and look at this in detail on your own, you can see it in Discord. I'm not part of the Discord. Join the package. I don't know how else to say that. We look, I mean, also, and then, same thing with FanDuel and stuff. Because also, as I stated, a lot of the contests are filled on DraftKings. FanDuel, you are pretty much just left to the $15 contest today. Is literally everything else that had a substantial amount of entry fees are filled. And right now, there's only about 9% of the $15 FanDuel contest still available. You look back at the amount of laps down that is. So yet again, we have the cars who have DNF'd out of the race. We go all the way back up here and you're looking at the amount of cars that are, being taken out in wrecks. And you look at where these guys are at in terms of the amount of laps down. Okay. Now, yet again, if we're looking at 65% of the field being taken out in wrecks, okay, or being involved in a wreck, that means some are going to be terminally damaged. Other ones are going to have damage and come back out on the field. This year, we no longer have the DVP policy for the Cup Series. So if you have damage, you can go to pit lane or go to the garage and then come back out. So I believe we will see an uptick of those who are still running at the end of the race, just laps down. Okay. But for the most part, what I try and do specifically is aim for people who are going to be at the tail end of the lead lap towards the end of the race, right before the crash, to try and take advantage of the people who wreck at the end of the race. Okay. And so on and so forth. We look at team analysis. Who are the good teams? Why do I throw team names around so much? These are your good teams. Okay. You look at the amount of wins these teams either have, or you look at the amount of top fives, or the case may be, at these races. Okay, at plate races and stuff. Who are the good teams? Okay. If anything, I'm going to move it to starts because that is going to give you an idea of the amount of powerhouse teams that are here. Now, yet again, it's not based on a driver, just hey, who has the most cars in the field? Hendrick, Joe Gibbs, Penske. Okay. Those teams are the good teams. Those teams are going to carry ownership. Okay. Who are a part of those teams? Hendrick, your Hendrick guys, your Joe Gibbs guys, Team Penske, front row, Richard Childress. We have RFK. Okay. So when you're looking at the good teams in the back of the field, those drivers will carry ownership. Those drivers are going to project to be very good plays because they are part of good teams, they're good drivers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Yet again, you look at the amount of basically laps led and stuff. These are the good teams. Who are the teams who run up front because they have good cars and good teams? This is why they carry ownership. This is why these teams are going to carry, or these drivers are going to carry ownership today, because they're going to be starting the back of the field, which we'll talk about in a second. They're going to run up front. They're going to fight for the win, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then really past that, I kind of just want to go ahead and get through this stuff here. we're seeing less yellows with the next gen, but yet again, this is the third, actually entering the fourth year of this stuff. So there's that comparison between Gen 6 and next gen stuff. But and then yet again comparing this specific race to other plate races and stuff, we see an uptick in yellows. But I mean, really, Daytona and specifically has a much higher percentage of yellows versus versus Talladega. Yet again, this is including Daytona 500 versus the other 3 plate races a year or whatever in here. But yeah, starting position versus finish position, running car only. I mean, a lot of stuff here, right? Okay, now taking everything from that, moving it to the starting grid today. Okay, let's find ownership. Okay, who are good? No, let's go up here. Hold on. Who are good teams, good drivers, started in the back of the field due to the fact that you were going to have people wreck out? Okay, let's find it out. Who are the people who are going to project well in this race? Let me go ahead and bring this on this side so I can open this up really fast just to make sure that I'm not being a dumb and talking about stupid people. Okay, who starts the backfield that falls in line with one of these teams? Now, yet again, we are looking for drivers who are with Penske. We are looking for drivers who are with Joe Gibbs, RFK, the 2311, Hendrick. Okay, so we have the good teams with good drivers in the backfield. Let's find those drivers who are going to carry ownership. Hey, Alex Bowman in a Hendrick car, expected to run up front, starting in the back of the field. Hey, Bowman is probably going to carry a lot of ownership today. Now, yet again, at this point, we are just identifying ownership. Okay. Hey, Brad Keselowski, phenomenal plate racer, knows what he's doing. Some people might argue that for recent form of how he's finished. Now, he has been involved in a lot of wrecks, but that is just, if you're looking at the entire field being involved in wrecks and the amount of people who can be involved in wrecks, it's really not that shocking to see Keselowski who's been involved in wrecks. Keselowski either wins races or he's involved in wrecks. Who's another driver who is showing the ability to run up front and compete for wins and et cetera, et cetera? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Okay. Now at this point, we've identified probably the 3 highest owned guys in the back of the field, the 3 guys who are probably going to carry the most amount of ownership in the 30 on back in this field, who are, by all intents and purposes, based on the statistical analysis, probably the 3 best plays in the back of the field. Okay, that's where they're going to carry ownership. Once we start looking at other people and we start moving up or down or whatever, right? We then see Daniel Suarez. We then see Martin Truex Jr. We then see people like Michael McDowell. Okay, we then see the good teams who are starting a little bit farther than the back of the field, but are still going to carry ownership because they are with good teams, okay, who are expected to run up front. That's Bell, Kyle Busch. Okay, Larson has DNF'd a lot, but he's in a Hendrick car. And yet again, he's ran into bad luck. Now, in terms of ownership, I don't think Larson's going to have it because he has DNF so much. The people who are seeing that, what is it? That finishing position from him will probably not want to play him. I want to bring him one last page here. If my thing will load, because I have like 18,000 tabs open and fucking 2 sims over here running at the same time. Okay, we'll just let that keep rolling. So, okay, never mind. We have it. Hold on. Give me a second here. All right. Who are your best drivers as of late, looking at the last 5 years at Daytona and Talladega? Entering this race, we have William Byron, Chase Elliott. Now, yet again, this is just at this point, we're being sorted by miles. We can go ahead and sort by top 10 because that's probably a pretty standard statistic that everybody can understand when we're looking at this race. Who is finishing in the top 10 in these races? Okay, William Byron. Okay, where does he start? He's starting 5th. Okay, we have Christopher Bell starting 2nd. Let's move this closer. Christopher Bell starting 2nd. Hey, I've highlighted him. We look at Keselowski starting in the back of the field. Okay, We'll even double highlight him because he's going to be really popular. Hey, we'll look at Daniel Suarez in the back of the field. Hey, you got to highlight him because he's clicking off everything here. Okay. Hey, we're going to look at Ryan Blaney. Where's Ryan at? Okay. Blaney is starting 16th. Okay. We look at Alex Bowman. Hey, where does he start? Holy hell, he's in the back of the field, right? Et cetera, et cetera. Yet again, I'm starting from the ground up in this video, so I don't have to answer any dumb questions, all right? Once we continue to go through, we have Buescher, Kyle Busch. Where are these guys starting? Kyle Busch is starting 21st. We look at Chris Buescher, and he is starting in 6th, okay? So not necessarily, not from my point of view, not important for this discussion. We'll go through at least the top 12 here. We look at Eric Jones. Where does Eric Jones start today? We look at where's that Jones boy at? Oh, he's in 4th. We look at Stenhouse. Where's Stenhouse at? Hey, Stenhouse in the back of the field. Let's highlight him. All right. Hey, like I said, we're doing the top 12. So where's Hamlin starting? Hamlin's in 8th. Okay. Then we have Noah Gragson and yet again, as we just go through, this is over last 10 races. Okay. 3 top 10s is pretty impressive. You're seeing the burn rate of the amount of people who can't finish in the top 10 or involved in wrecks and stuff like that. We're getting to the pretty nitty gritty point of where people can run, just because by how volatile this race is. Okay, so now that we've gone through and we've identified through multiple sources of data points and et cetera, who are good plays today, who are going to project well and optimizers, who are going to project well in terms of projections, who are going to project to be highly owned or highly owned in combination with each other, et cetera, okay? These are your good drivers in the back of the field. Okay, these are the drivers that on paper you would want to prioritize in your lineups. We've gotten there, right? Okay. All right. We're there. Now, the fact that now we get into the fun part. We've been talking for 22 minutes, right? Now we can get to the fun part. All right. The race, the contest today, the 25, the 3, whatever. We're looking at over 70,000 entries in these contests. Okay. We're gonna have, if you're just using the guys highlight on your screen, you have a high likelihood of being duplicated, of being trapped in trains. I mean, I guess it's the same thing, but like these are the guys who are going to be owned and stuff. Okay. If you're playing cash, speaking from somebody who in the past out of curiosity has won the main GPPs and then also played cash games in those same situations, the high projected cash lineups are going to finish very well in tournaments today. Okay? Because both approaches, if you're playing cash, you're looking for a high ceiling. If you're looking to take down a GPP, you're looking for a high ceiling. There is a lot of layover between those two contests. So I would advise you to not play cash today because close to optimal lineups and stuff will be absolutely shoved into cash lineups or into cash contests. Okay. When I look at how well my lineups do when they win GPPs and how well they do in cash, some of the times they don't even cash in cash games and they finish in the top 1% or top 2% of main contests. So just because so many people are jamming in good cars and or these drivers and stuff like that. So that's my first thing. So if you're playing a a contest today with like less than 1,000 people, okay, be aware that you're going to have to get different. You're going to have to fade ownership. You're going to have low owned guys with, the same amount of upside. Okay. As we continue on, okay, we then look at, hey, who's paying the rake? Hey, who is dead on arrival for the most part, especially with so many good cars in the back of the field? My advice to you is to not play anybody in the top 15. Write these guys off. They don't exist in your pool. They don't exist in the race. They have just as high likelihood to be involved in a wreck as these guys in the back of the field here. Why take the unnecessary risk in playing somebody who is starting in the top 15 that can just as easily finish in the back of the field. Another point. If I play Castro Neves starting 41st and you play who's starting in 10th, that is Denny Hamlin. And Denny Hamlin wrecks and Castro Neves also finishes last. Castro will finish with 0 points, and Denny Hamlin will finish with a grant. If they finish 41st and 40th, Denny Hamlin will. Okay, this is not going to be accurate entirely because I'm doing this on the fly. But you're going to have Denny Hamlin scoring like negative 24 points or something like that. Okay, so it is drastically safer from a lineup perspective, from a build perspective, to play guys in the back of the field. Okay. All right. So now we're here at the real nitty gritty. Who is not highlighted here specifically? Now we look at other optimal lineups and we look at other cup optimal, and this is actually, this one I will show because I had or ASC was very helpful in me getting data for old Atlanta stuff. This is actually going to be the only page I show from this, just because this will benefit here. But you look at the top, we look at the top 12 drivers in terms of DraftKings points in these races, okay? And you're going to see where, let's go here. You're going to see where these guys are starting, okay? We see a lot of guys in the 30s and 20s finishing as top 12 DraftKings scores, okay? Now, there are people who squeeze their way in the top 10, but I'm not going that direction, and it's very unlikely that the actual optimal is ever actually played, okay? Yet again, when we look at the teams that are highlighted in green here, and I know these are very tiny on your screen. I'm not really concerned about that. I mean, we can kind of get closer here just to look at stuff really fast, but that's not the point of this screen here. I'm just yet again explaining where things are at. We look at good teams. You're seeing a lot of guys in green here: SHR, Hendrick, Joe Gibbs, and like there's going to be a good amount of good teams here. There's also going to be and I would start including RFK and stuff as well. But we start looking at the names involved here, and you see a lot of big names, but you also see a lot of one-offs or other guys in the back of the field or whatever the case may be. Okay, so now with all that squared away, where am I going today? Oh, that was the point I was going to make. Justin Haley's probably also going to be popular based on how he runs in these races here. Now, yet again, he has also performed well at Talladega, but just looking at the Daytona, won in 2019, rain shortened, doesn't matter. But we see the top 8 finishes in the last 12 Daytona races. We see Haley at a 25% hit rate here. Yet again, this is not including Talladega as well. Haley is also going to be a popular day, but not nearly as popular as Suarez, Keselowski, Stenhouse, Bowman, and stuff like that. Okay. So hold on, give me a second. Hold on. Actively dying. Hold on. So, where am I going to be targeting today? Okay. In a contest with 70,000 people chasing that, who are the people I want to be overweight on? Everybody who I have not highlighted. That's Castro Neves, Jimmy Johnson, Zane Smith, Haley, Hocevar, Cole Custer, Barry, Cody Ware, Priest, SVG. Okay. I'm going to be extremely heavy on playing people from 20th on back. Okay. But I'm not going to play Bell. I'm not going to have Kyle Busch. I'm not going to have McDowell. The Larson, because he just DNF'd so many times, I think his ownership might. I actually don't need to take that risk. Using Gibbs back today is the only way I'm going to approach it. Okay. And I'm going to be lower owned on Truex, Bowman, Suarez, Keselowski, Gregson, Stenhouse. Okay. Now, because I had multiple things last night related to the race, because I did a full fade on Harrison Burton and Ryan Truex. So people were shocked by that. Now, granted, I've been doing this literally for years at plate races, so it's not like it doesn't seem fucking cuckoo loco to me. Okay. But people I also, am very aggressive when I play NFL Showdown, to where I fade quarterbacks, I fade, the favorite running back, whatever the case may be, because I'm just used to playing that. Like when we play DFS, gentlemen, we're trying to win that day's contest. Okay. This is not a day of I just want to min cash every day. I'm trying to finish first in any contest I'm playing any day. Okay. So the burn rate of things not hitting, it's going to be there or it's going to happen. You just live through that. And then you hope you win enough to make up for the down days. Okay. But specifically in these races, where were Harrison Burton and Ryan Truex running last night for the majority of that race? They were running in the top 10. The fact that both of those had a combined cumulative ownership of nearly 99 to 100%, I think it was like 96 or something, because I think they were like 50 and 48% owned. They're running up front in the danger zone, which we haven't even talked about here. Where do the wrecks happen at these races? They happen in the front of the field, typically by an accordion effect caused by the first two runners in each individual line, accordion back to wrecking the third or fourth guy in line and stuff like that and causing a wreck. That is right where Harrison Burton and Truex were running yesterday. Okay? Things happen differently. We get a yellow before, whatever the case may be. Some of those guys might be involved in wrecks. Okay. Typically, I don't want to have ownership to people who are going to be up front, who are expected to finish up front, who are going to be highly owned, because the advantage of playing DFS and these plate races specifically are to take advantage of when those guys get wrecked out. Okay. So, who's going to be up front in this race? It's going to be Keselowski, and not in this race. Like when things actually matter, shit doesn't matter on lap 27 of 200. Stuff doesn't matter on lap 110 of 200. I'm focusing on where drivers should be around the 180 mark in this race. Typically, when you look at different people and how they approach stuff, especially now with the next gen car, you have to start pushing a lot earlier to try and get track position. But like we come in this race, lap 182. And again, wrecks could happen across the board, but who are the drivers who are going to be up in the front of the field at lap 180? Okay, it's the people who project very well back here: Stenhouse, Keselowski, Suarez, Bowman, Michael McDowell, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell are all absolute contenders to be in the top, in the top 12, top 15 on lap 180 out of 200. That is the area of the race that is most likely to have a crash take people out in the race. Okay, who is not expected to be up in the front in most accounts and most situations at that point in the race? Okay, that's people like Cody Ware. That's most likely people like SVG, probably Carson. Okay, Zane Smith. There's no way in hell, unless we have absolute death early in the field, that Castroneves might even actually be racing at that point. So those are the people who are actually the safest in that range. If you have 20 to go and you have guys who are running, yet again, who's right at the end of this race? Who's running at the end of the races? We're looking at it's first there, but I want to look at this one here. Where we at? Gone to. So laps down by finishing position, okay? We have people who have survived the early carnage. They're not they've survived. They avoided the first couple crashes in the race, whatever. And they're running maybe one lap down, maybe 2 laps down, or they're at the tail end lead lap. Who is running from like 16th to 28th with 20 to go? We've identified the people who should be up front, okay? We then have to identify the people who are going to be in the back of the field at that point. Those are the people that I want to be higher on. It's probably like people like Cody Ware, Cole Custer, Zane Smith. Haley knows what he's doing, as I've gone through in other races. Like Haley, yet again, he's not highlighted, but he's going to carry ownership, and he knows what he's going to be doing. I would expect Haley to be up in the top 15 at the end of the race. Same thing with Michael McDowell. But for the most part, on lower ownership, it really doesn't matter once we're like deep in the weeds at like that type of level and building and stuff. And then at that point, you just have to hope that your guy like doesn't wreck out and stuff. But now that all that's apparent, who am I going to be overweight on? Who am I going to be using? It's going to be Castroneves. It's going to be Jimmy Johnson. It's going to be Zane Smith, Haley, Hocevar, Gregson. It's going to be these individuals here. And if I'm using Stenhouse, Keselowski, Suarez, Bowman, Truex and stuff like that, it's going to be either with a low-owned guy in it, or the entire lineup is going to be related to playing the good drivers or good teams. Now, notice I have not mentioned manufacturers yet. I have not mentioned teams yet, okay? Because at this point, it's kind of irrelevant. Okay, we look at where we're at here. Ford, Chevy, Ford, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Chevy. We're kind of at a point where we're probably going to be playing a lot of Fords and a lot of Chevys in the back of the field. So it doesn't really matter to go out of your way to be like, well, you want to stack Chevys in the back. Like, we're doing that anyway. Okay. We're doing that. That's just how it is. Right. Okay. When I move over, we got Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Chevy. Like, that's that. As I said yesterday, when you talk teams or ownership or not ownership, teams and manufacturers, those are like secondary and tertiary, priorities of how I'm building lineups and stuff like that. Like I think with the starting grid that we have today, it's kind of irrelevant because if you're playing the guys that are highlighted, we're gonna have a lot of Chevys, okay? You're gonna have a lot of Fords, and like it's just gonna happen. You're gonna get to that naturally. We don't have to go out of our way to make a rule or something like that. Also, secondly, I hand build everything. Now, granted, I have enough wins at these tracks to make up for any time things don't hit and stuff like that. But I have found that I do a really good job at not having duplicated lineups, which if you're running an optimizer, okay, and you're running, whether it's mean or whatever projections you're using, okay, there's a real chance you're going to have probably higher owned guys in your lineup than you necessarily should. I think if you hand build, you have a way better advantage of having um, non-duplicated lines in a race like this versus not doing that. Okay, been in for 35 minutes. Haven't even looked at chat. We'll do that now. I think this is the picks. The picks or the real approach kind of ends here. I don't really have anything else to add. We're going to see what you guys are saying here. We are 3 hours away from lock, so let's go ahead and go through and see where they are at, or see where you guys are at here. I appreciate the 151 guys on X and the 128 on YouTube. I'm not looking at Twitter right now, so if you want to ask anything, feel free to put it in the YouTube chat, but I'm not going to look at Twitter right now. Let's see what's going on. BVP, happy to see you back, buddy boy. What's going on, Evan? Let's see. See people push McDowell already. Yeah, like also, yet again, mention it in the playlist and other videos. The down, like when things don't go your way, you are much more likely to not lose as much money as you are at other tracks when things don't hit. So like I'm building specifically for high rec races where ownership gets taken out, but even then when that doesn't happen, like yesterday, okay? 100% fade on Harrison Merton and Truex, right? And I played everybody else in the back of the field. I put in 500. I got back 398 or something. Okay. I will easily spend that. I will happily spend $102 on a slate like this to potentially have a profit. Okay. So even when things don't happen, you are much more likely to not even lose as much money as usual, which yet again, that's why cash games are so difficult this weekend because everybody's building for that line. Let's see what's going on, Pope. What's going on, Mark? Why wouldn't they push the race back at night? Dude, I don't know. Who cares? NASCAR does their own thing. It's just better to not even worry about anything. Let's see. Haters beware. Let's see. You guys are just arguing around. Bot players. That's crazy, dude. It's crazy, Kyle. Okay, and that's insane. Okay, okay. First off, Conscious Machine. I see you've done a lot here. Let me go through before I start talking about here. But I see we're talking about bots and lineups and stuff. So let's go see. I'm gonna go ahead and read through everything you're doing just to make sure, just so I can put to bed that stupid shit. Okay, first off, if we want to talk first off, also I know what I'm talking about here from a background perspective. Okay, we'll look at FanDuel first. If anything, DraftKings is better at this. But if you look at the anti-bot, anti-script, you can't even access FanDuel's API anymore from the back end, okay? It is incredibly difficult for any scripts or any bots or anything like that, that if you look at, a wall of like FanDuel side, the public user side, you're not getting anything into FanDuel's software, into their website, and their API. You're not doing anything like that from FanDuel. They have probably the most aggressive, like not even firewall, but most aggressive preventable measures in place for any bot or activity like that at all. So FanDuel, I know for a fact, there's no bots going on there. Okay. Also, the microscope that they're on, it based in New York, is much higher. Is probably the strictest of anything, right? That's why they're so aggressive there. DraftKings falls in the same category. Now you can still access stuff. They're not as anti, you know, um, automation as FanDuel seems to be, but you're also not getting bots on these fucking contests. Okay, the the industry. Now, yet again, everybody's focused on sports betting now, which sports betting is, you guys are fucking cooked. Okay, everything's AI, everything's already being used, you're already being tracked. Like, if you're winning money, you're gonna get limited. If you are, automating things, you're gonna get caught, and those accounts will be banned, and so on and so forth. But the main, focus of that industry right now is on the sports betting side. But in terms of DraftKings, DFS, bots being in there, nobody's cheating. Okay. Now, collusion is different. I'm not saying there's not collusion going on. Okay. What I am saying is DraftKings is not cheating you by adding bots to the lineups, by adding bots to the fields. Okay. From an automation perspective, that's not happening. Collusion and three mans or other things, yes, that's out there. I think you'd be ignorant to not say that or to not be aware of that stuff. But what you're talking about, conscious, you are like literally a loon. That's insane. I don't agree with anything you've stated there. Okay. Um, DraftKings they have there's a lot that you probably aren't aware of that they do in terms of things that highlight interest, whether it's IP usage, and I'm not even talking about some idiot, using a VPN to enter contests from a different, that's going to get you in trouble as well. But DraftKings is fair gaming board or security, whatever exact term there is, like they're doing a lot of stuff, they're analyzing a lot of contests. I've talked to enough people to know things are going on. I know people who have been flagged for stuff, and I've talked to them about like what you're talking about. Conscious is not happening on either site, and specifically, I know it's not happening on DraftKings, and I know with how hard it is to use or to get to FanDuel's API, it's not happening on that site too. Now, Super Draft doesn't exist anymore. They shut that down. But like sites like that, I would have not been shocked of things like that happening. But with how big FanDuel and DraftKings are, if they were caught, adding bots to the field or whatever the case may be, the entire industry would be totally flipped upside down. With where they're positioned right now, anything like that, if it came out, it would be horrendous to our industry, and especially with legislation most likely already coming in place for how aggressive they can advertise, and so on and so forth, with stuff being more legalized. Like, that's just not going to happen. I don't believe that's an issue at all that you have to worry about. Conscious. Let's see. Hell, and Jimmy might crash before like also. Now that I've highlighted this, I know why nobody's going to play Helio, because he's horrible. This man is he might go for the trifecta. He might wreck every car he sat in this week. That's why he's bad. Jimmy Johnson sucks. Okay, the old decrepit has been. Truex, his only likelihood is I think he's actually going to try and ride and just be there at the end and not be taken out early. But what's the difference between Helio's going to crash for sure? What's his wreck out percentage in this race? 65, 70% on his own? Well, luckily, that's in line with the field being involved in a wreck. Like, any individual driver could be wrecked 65% of the time. So it's actually not that scary to play Castro Neves today, because he has the same outcome percentage as somebody is like Kyle Larson, right? As somebody, starting the top 10, right? Like, so it literally just comes down to ownership and who's going to be lower owned. Hey, Castro is probably not going to be as owned as other people. You play I play Castro, the field plays Keselowski, you know, let's say Helio gets involved in a wreck, goes lap down, finishes 18th, one lap down, we have Keselowski involved in a wreck early, Actually, that might even be too aggressive saying Helio, finishes, but like head to head, Helio and Castro Neves, if this race had no yellows, of course, you'd bet the fucking house on Keselowski. The fact that there's yellows involved and people could wreck and stuff, it's literally a coin flip of who can happen. So I encourage you to play bad drivers and bad teams and so on and so forth. Let's see. Let's see what else. Yes, if you're playing 4 to 5 lineups, I would highly advise you to not have 100% of one driver. If anything, the max if you're doing 5 lineups. Hold on. It's probably better for you to have, or the most of any one driver would probably be 3 out of 5 lineups if you're playing at that small of a of that small amount of lines and stuff like that. Let's see what else is going on here. Yes, okay. If you pair Bowman and Keselowski, wouldn't you be smart to take a driver starting in the top 10? Okay, so yet again, so big, let me hold on. Hold on. I have an idea. I have an idea. Give me a second. Oh hell. Give me a second here because I don't brother, man. Let's go. Let me give you a second. Give me a moment. All right, bam. So let's talk about this from we'll make a copy, be like we'll call this what I say, Dumb River. Okay, we'll call this Dumb River. Okay. So when we look at the scoring of DraftKings, okay, today, let me see your example here. If you pair Bowman and Keselowski, those guys are starting. Brad is hell, I gotta whoopsie. Brad's 34th, so we'll say Brad here. We'll just put random letters on these here. And then who's the other guy here? Bowman, right? I think you mentioned Bowman. Yeah, here. Pair Bowman and Keselowski. Okay. Keselowski is 38th, or Bowman is 38th. So we have Bowman. Okay, right? Okay, so now we come back here, and we see if you pair Bowman and Keselowski, wouldn't it be smart to take a driver starting in the top 10 to try and finish top 5 and have low ownership in those two? Massive chalk. Okay, so yet again, going back to if some actually, I gotta fill all these things out really fast. Hold on. Whoops. Okay, yet again, visualizing how DraftKings score. Not even visualizing, just fuck. That's not what I want to do. Good enough. Okay. So actually seeing how DraftKings scoring works. Okay, we have Brad here. Let's say he passes 11. Let's say he passes 10 people. Yet again, talked about this before. By DraftKings scoring, you have to add. DraftKings scoring is here. You have to add where are we at here? We're missing 22 points. We go from 21st to 23. We go from 10 to 11. You have to add, or if you're doing things manually, you have to add an additional point for any top 10 they may fall in or fall out of. Okay. Yet again, no owners, no price in here. We're not looking at the value play or whatever, right? You have Keselowski at 11. You have, let's say he passes 10 people. Worst case scenario, fucking passes 10 people, right? Bowman passes 13 people. Okay. Brad's at 29. Bowman's at 31 points. Castro Neves starting. Actually, no, because I gotta update this one here. This would be Jimmy. So big boy Johnson here because I don't have 40 on this one. We got Johnson here. Okay, starting 40th. Okay, let's say he finishes 32nd, has a horrific day, gets wrecked out. Johnson does his thing. He finishes 17th. Okay, the reason why you don't want to take a driver starting in the top 10 to try and finish top 5 is because we're trying to beat, let's just say, we're doing like 1v1s here at a very small level. We're trying to beat 17 points for Johnson, right? Leader, falls to 10th. He's at 19 points. Okay, yet again, counting the 3 points you lose from first to second, you're at 19 points, finishing 10th. You start 11th or you start 4th, and you lose, let's say 8 positions. You're at 22. You're barely edging Jimmy Johnson out here. Okay, Johnson is wrecked out. He's finished 32nd, and he's scoring 17 points. Your guy up here, starting in the top 4, man, he was up there all day. He just got in a bad lane, coming to the checkered flag, and he comes across line, and he loses 8 place differential places, and he's at 22nd. Okay, and maybe this guy goes from 8th and he finishes 2nd all day, or he finishes 7th. He finishes with 38 points. We have the guy in 7th. Lose 9 positions, lose 8 positions, whatever the case may be. Hey, the guy in 20th, gains 9. Holy free holies, dude! You got a guy in 20th and he finishes 11th and he's got 41 points. Whereas like your guy started 5th and he finished 9th and he's at 31 points. So yet again, you don't want to play guys up front from a scoring perspective, because these guys, I guess talking poker terms, in the back of the field, you have way more outs to work out than the guys up front. This is unnecessary risks. These are unnecessary things or plays that you need to do. Okay. The ownership that falls in the top 10 is literally paying the rake for the contest. They're dead lineups across the board, especially if a situation where, hey, Kozlowski, Bowman, Suarez ends up working, but damn, you had the one-off, and your one-off scores 31 points. Meanwhile, some dude plays, the guy at 29th, and he gained 9 positions, and he's finishing with 33 points. Like you're getting beat by guys in the back of the field. That's why you don't want to play those guys. Okay. Let's see what's going on else here. Yeah, I'm with you, Jake. Let's see. I see Conscious left. So I guess that's fine. What else are we doing here? Do I have a core? I mean, I've kind of talked through everything here. Let's see. What are your projections on top 5 starters? You can get so yet again, my projections, are, I mean, I'll say them right now. I'll show you exactly where I got people projected for. I got Chase Briscoe with 36.05 points. I got Cindric with 37.5 points. I got Bubba Wallace with 46.7. I got Eric Jones for 35.05. And I have William Byron for 47.2. Those are my projections for the guys starting up front in this race, if that matters to you. I'm playing them anyway. It's okay to leave a bunch of salary on the table. New NASCAR, so I'll be paying, see, yet again, a lot of new guys coming in and stuff. I'm gonna borrow. We'll borrow ACS's stuff. I think he has this. Yeah. So this is the last. So yet again, this is his thing, not mine. He has these notes, not mine. Me and Sterling were fucking first, second, third for 100K. In the fucking first OT when Barry flipped in the summer. That's honestly my worst fucking beat ever, dude. But we just look at the optimal lineup for the race last year. 37,500 left or used. The winning lineup used 38,700. Okay, so yet again, if we're using, and now that's just that one, I'm not going to go through and just show all his sheets. That's not fair. But ownership or salary left over doesn't matter. If you're spending, hey, let's goof around and we'll go to the 25. I can't be building stuff into 3 and look like I know what I'm talking about. I got to go to the 25. So like, let's just say, for example, if you're spending up for a lot of guys, like if you're using expensive dudes, and then you still play guys in the back of the field or whatever, you're going to leave quite a lot of salary. Like, salary doesn't matter at all. Okay. If anything, I like to leave the most amount of, that's my sim stuff. I like to leave the most amount of salary as I can for these, because I'm trying to focus on not being duplicated. So salary doesn't matter. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so it's very I mean, it is very likely that is that a next level DFS logo? I haven't seen that in a while. Um, but yes, it is very likely that the race winner is not optimal in these races. Now, yet again, I don't mean to just sit here and like jerk myself off. Okay, the last plate race GPP I won for like 24,000 was the Talladega Spring last year. Jesse Love won the race. Hey, Jesse Love, 10 seconds of love. Jesse Love won, at Talladega as he did yesterday. He was not in the winning. He wasn't in the optimal or winning lineup because it was a stack from the back that came through, and that's what I had. So I never actually focus on having the winner specifically. Now, yet again, if my guys wreck out or if they don't wreck, I don't make money, but I'm perfectly happy doing that. Yeah, so like the only projections that actually matter today are our ownership. What's going on, Buckshot? Play the shitter. Yeah, dude. I'm with you, Priest. Thank you, Mid. I appreciate that. Yeah, like so why would I play Kyle Busch for 33% ownership? Like that's fucking crazy, you know? And mainly do like as optimizers and sims and everything have gotten higher and higher in usage for NASCAR, specifically for these races, that's why I fade the ownership. That's why I don't play the high owned guys because so many things are using them and forcing them in and blah 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 blah. And then yet again, the same mentality of okay, well, if I play the good guys in the back, I'll just play somebody in the top 10 to get different. Yet again, I'll just let people make those mistakes, and I won't do that. And whatever the case may be. Um, so like I play guys in the back who don't carry ownership or as much, and if I play high owned guys in the back, then I'm absolutely playing the ugliest, talentless idiots in the back of the field paired with them to also try and be um, independent in that um, lineup and stuff. So really, I do believe that's it. I can't think of anything else to talk about. I don't think we have anything else to discuss. I was here for, a solid hour. Um, thank you guys very much for being here. As I said, I apologize that I'll be at Atlanta, so likelihood of doing a live show is kind of up in the air at the moment. If I do, it'll be at the Airbnb I'm at. Thoughts on fading Brad Keselowski? Where I'm at right now, and again, I full faded Truex and Harrison Burton, and the reason I'm explaining that here is because those are the only two guys that carried substantial ownership in the back of the field that I wanted to. I mean, Anderson was like 49% owned too, but he's Anderson, like you need to play him. But the fact that now we're in the Cup Series, you have all the guys listed. I'll probably end with like 25% Brad. Okay, now that's 5 of my 20 lines. Okay, and then I'll just make sure that lineup is unique. With the 500 being the way it is, I don't necessarily think a full fade on any driver in the back of the field is necessarily worth it because so many things can happen. But I would definitely be underweight on them compared to other people. Um, let's see what else other than that. Yeah, so I'll be at Atlanta, like I said. If you guys see me, whenever I'll be wearing the Kiss jacket, so just come up and say hi. I'd love to meet some of you guys like I did in Phoenix years ago. Oh, I have a new phone now. So I do have I will have service at the fucking track. So I'm not an iPhone 6 anymore. I actually got a 13 now. Um, let's see. Uh, I think that's about it. Um, anyway, yeah, best of luck, guys. Hopefully it works. If you guys do find any success or you want to have Sabersim or you want to use my projections and stuff. Now, yet again, the difference between this race and next race at Atlanta, if if this was the grid for Atlanta, then I'm absolutely slamming in Stenhouse, Keselowski, like you want to play the good guys in good equipment at Atlanta because they can survive better and stuff. Okay, but just because the so roughly same approach or same idea on projections, just different approaches. Like so that's my tip for Atlanta, right? Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for being here. If you want to use my projections, you can join through the membership. Uh, through the NASCAR membership or through our partnership with SaberSim, but through our site, not on SaberSim's website. Past that, thank you guys for listening. Best of luck. I hope we get a goddamn flip, please? I mean, I want to send a guy through the catch fence, please. Please, just we haven't had a good catch fence crash in a long time. I just want to see the fence eviscerated. That'd be amazing. What a perfect week. What a perfect way to end the 500. Just sending some guy into the fence in this next gen car. Past that, thank you guys. I'll see you guys later. Best of luck. Bye-bye. Also, failed tech doesn't even matter. They can do a fucking pass through. Doesn't matter. It's 500. There's gonna be people wrecking left and right. See you guys. Bye-bye.